Having spent over 13 years in some form of finance related environment, 3 years studying it, and a further 9 working in investment banking, one of the key skills I have picked up along the way is how to spot the signs that actually contribute to financial success. So, in this video, I want to share 4 things that tend to dictate whether or not you are doing well financially, how reliable each of those things actually is, and how to stay on track. Let's get into it. Number 1, are you playing the right game? There are 2 games you can play to measure your financial success. And one of the main reasons people feel behind is because they are unknowingly playing the wrong one. The first is the status game, where we are all subtly trying to one up each other. There is a way of thinking about this that I find genuinely useful. The problem with the status game is that for you to win it, somebody else has to lose. That is the entire structure of it. And that is exactly why status games make people more competitive, more on edge, and ultimately less content. The status game is purely external. It is the size of your home, the brand on your bag, everything you can see and compare on social media. If you buy a nice car, it only improves your status relative to people who do not have one. If everyone around you already has one, it does nothing for you at all. You are using other people as your reference point, which means your sense of progress is constantly being defined by someone else's life rather than your own. There is a line from a well-known book on wealth that has always stuck with me. Wealth is not the same as income. If you make a good income each year and spend all of it, you are not getting wealthier. You are just living high. That brings us to the second game, the wealth game. This is not about what everyone else can see. It is about what is happening behind the scenes, the money sitting in your investment accounts, the business you are quietly building on the side, the money you are putting towards your own development and skills. All the things with a genuinely positive return that eventually buy you freedom and the power to live life on your own terms. The key is making sure your evaluation of your own financial success is not secretly anchored to the status game. Once you fully understand that distinction, you will likely realize you are doing far better than you think. Because the status game is essentially a movie trailer. It shows you the best bits and conveniently leaves everything else out. Number 2, how much should you actually be earning? One way to gauge where you stand is to look at average salary figures. According to recent data, the average annual salary in the US sits somewhere in the high $50,000 to low $60,000 range, depending on the source and the year. But here's the thing. These national averages make remarkably little difference to how we actually feel about our own income, for 2 specific reasons. First, research consistently shows that it is our own friends and peers, not society as a whole, that have the bigger influence on how we evaluate our own financial success. Second, no matter how much we earn, it is psychologically far easier to feel bad about a number than to feel good about it. There is a well-documented concept in behavioral economics called loss aversion. The idea that the pain of losing something is roughly twice as psychologically powerful as the pleasure of gaining the equivalent amount. If you found $100 on the ground, you would be thrilled, and it would genuinely make your day. But if you lost that same $100, the pain of that loss would feel significantly bigger than the joy you felt from finding it in the first place, even though the dollar amount is identical. Research on social comparison shows the same pattern applies directly to our income. If you discovered you earn more than your friends or colleagues, you might feel slightly more content for a moment, but that feeling fades quickly. If you discovered you earn less than them, that has a far bigger and more lasting impact on your happiness and how satisfied you feel with your own income. You could be outperforming 99% of the people around you financially. But if even one person in your circle appears to be doing better, it can make you question your entire sense of success. And the cruel part of this cycle is that as you rise through the ranks and start earning more, your peer group tends to rise alongside you. And so does the benchmark you are unconsciously comparing yourself against. Which means the goalposts never actually stop moving unless you consciously choose to step off this particular treadmill. Number 3, getting the 3 fundamentals right. The first of these is being fully aware of your relationship with money. This means genuinely knowing your financial health, your real income, your real expenses, and finding ways to live below your means, whether that is increasing what comes in, reducing what goes out, or both, so that you consistently have something left over to save or invest. One simple way to build this awareness is to track where your money actually goes across every category of your life, rather than relying on a vague sense of how you think you are spending. The second fundamental is having an emergency buffer, a specific amount of savings you can access in the case of an emergency. Having even this one thing in place puts you ahead of a significant portion of the population. Nearly 40% of adults cannot cover a $400 unexpected expense without borrowing money or going into debt for it. If you have a healthy emergency fund tucked away, even just 1 month of living expenses to start with, you're already doing considerably better than most people around you. The third fundamental, far easier said than done in the current economic climate, is having manageable debt. This is not just about avoiding debt for things you do not need. It is also about not finding yourself in a position where debt becomes the only way you can pay your bills on time. The average American currently carries close to $25,000 in non-mortgage debt. Credit card debt nationally is sitting at record highs, and a significant portion of younger adults have taken out an additional credit card in recent years, largely, according to economists, to protect their existing lifestyle against the pressure of inflation, rather than for any discretionary purchase. So, if you are able to save a portion of your income, maintain an emergency fund, and pay your bills on time without relying on debt to bridge the gap, you are genuinely ahead of most people, even if it does not feel that way day to day. But knowing all of that, does it actually make you feel any better? Probably not, on its own. That loss aversion we talked about earlier is powerful, and it does not switch off just because you know the statistics, which is exactly where the fourth rule comes in. Number 4, use the lens of the individual rather than society. There is a saying that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. As I was researching this topic and reflecting on my own experience working in finance for nearly a decade, a common thread became really clear to me. Our perception of how well we are doing financially is shaped massively, almost entirely, by society's expectations and society's comparisons. We live in a culture that applauds lavish lifestyles, external rankings, and visible monetary achievement. But if we deliberately rewire how we evaluate our own progress, looking at it through our own eyes against our own goals, rather than through the eyes of a society that has its own agenda about what success should look like, we see ourselves through a completely different lens. And that shift sets you free. Free from constant comparison, free from other people's expectations, free from playing a status game that someone else wrote the rules for. There is a thought experiment worth sitting with here. Would you rather be the world's greatest at something but have everyone around you believe you are the worst? Or would you rather genuinely be the worst at something but have everyone believe you are the best? In other words, would you rather sit at the top of the social ladder while secretly knowing it is not real, or sit wherever you actually are while knowing, with complete certainty, exactly who you are and what you have built? Most people, when they actually sit with that question, realize that the second option is the one that holds up, because the version of success that depends entirely on other people's perception of you is not really success at all. It is performance, and performance is exhausting to maintain indefinitely. So those are the 4 things that tend to dictate whether or not you are doing well financially, and how reliable each one actually is in determining whether you are genuinely on track or just feeling off track because of where you are looking for the answer. If you found this useful, share it with someone who might be feeling financially behind right now, but could use a reminder that they are probably doing better than it feels. And if you are new here, subscribe. I post every week on money, mindset, and building a financial life that is